So, good afternoon. In our previous lesson, we discussed about file organization. Well, in this lesson, which is lesson 7, I would like us to discuss a little bit about computer software. This is one of the lessons which I don't want to overdwell on because I think we have dealt with computer software from our introductory lessons, and there is not much to do with organization, computer organization with regard to computer software. The thing I would like to talk about here is basically probably define a few terms which you have found in other probably introduction to computer courses, and also beyond defining, mention a few about their roles, the way they are categorized, so that you can be able to appreciate what computer software is all about. In a very brief way, probably this is the lesson I'm going to spend the least time, because you have a background of it and you also have probably internalized the concepts already. So when you talk about software, we are referring to a set of programs, procedures, and related documentation associated with a computer system. Why programs? A program is a coded set of instructions that the computer can interpret, and the end user can also make use of it for purposes of being able to produce whatever that he wants to do with the computer. It is the programs actually that make the computer produce what we aspire to have it produce for us. Now we have the related documentation, which is very important. Sometimes we call it technical documentation or user documentation. We call it help. If you see a help menu like the one we have here, then it's part of that documentation you're talking about. Related documentation. This is user documentation. We have technical documentation that comes together with the software for purposes of explaining to the users, first of all, what is that this software can be applies to a computer that has the following properties. You see, software is made for specific computers or for general computers, but they must meet a minimum, let's say, of the random access memory, so probably size on the hard disk and so on. This is what in the technical documentation, plus any configuration that may be needed. End users may not need to know about the configuration. It is a technical team that needs to know about it. So documentation may be split into two: user and technical documentation. User documentation is usually in the software itself, like we find it here in PDF. Computer software is largely categorized into two, and we have system software and application software. When you're talking of system software, is basically software that manages the operations of the computer. So it can be categorized, it can be further classified into about 3 classes. We have the what you call the firmware. Firmware is that software which is brought together with the computer. Is made by the manufacturer. Then we have the operating system, which is part of the system software, which is operating system is used to manage the hardware. In a way, the hardware, the files, and when you talk of the hardware, and the memory, the files, when you're talking of things like virtual memory management, that's part of what the operating system does. Indeed, we say that the operating system manages resources, and past managing of the hardware resources, it also manages the files. So and of course, all that we have been discussing, most of those tasks that you are opaque, or if you want in computing terms, you say they're transparent. They are transparent to you. Those that you don't get to bother so much about, including, for instance, when you send a document to a printer, and somebody else says it almost at the same time. Why they don't overlap? One job is finished after the other. Job scheduling is the role of the operating system. And of course, because the operating system cannot be fitted with all the drivers, that's why manufacturers of certain equipment also make the drivers, which once you install become part of the system software. So operating system is part of the system software. Then the last part of the system software is what we call the category of system software is what we call the utility software. Utility software is a software that is used for basic maintenance of the system and also for basic use. For instance, Notepad or text editors are utility softwares. We have today, probably you can even look at the browsers as utility software, but we probably refer to the maintenance software more or less as the utility software. If you go to where you have Windows button, you go to where you have accessories or programs, accessories, you're going to find some of these softwares. For instance, where we have system tools, here you can see what you call the disk defragmenter, disk cleanup. These are basic maintenance tools and are good examples. System restore, these are good examples of utility software. Then so in system software we have 3 subtypes. We have or subcategories. We have the firmware, we have the operating system, and we have the utility software. I've given examples of utility software. Or examples of operating system include, for instance, the one you're using on your phone. Most likely it is Android. It's an operating system. We have other phones that are using Symbian. We have other phones that are using Windows Phone. We have operating system like the one I'm using, which is Windows. Others make use of Linux. Even this laptop has a version of Linux called Ubuntu. So these are operating systems, and we can have more examples. Then we have application software, which is basically meant to handle the needs of the end user. It can be either special purpose or general purpose. General purpose is like what we have in packages, like Office package, Excel, Word. We talk of what spreadsheets, word processing tools, and so on and so forth. Then we have special purpose. For instance, we can have one designed for use by accountants only. Pastel accounting is an example. So is special purpose. We have others which are made for doctors use only, bankers, the bankers realm, and so on and so forth. Those are application software. And I think with that, that's it. That's about software. If you want to know more, whatever is in this, the rest that is in this file, you can read by yourself. But the rest, I think you have done a reading of this intensely in the introductory units, and you appreciate that you have some more examples there. You can pick them and run with them. You appreciate that much of the content here you have covered it, and there is no need for us to spend time on it. If you have any question, again, you can raise it up in the forums or in the messaging tool of the messaging option of here. I get to see your messages here. You set them, of course, on the e-learning platform. And that's it for this particular lesson. Thank you.